Welcome to the UMKC campus of the Imaginativity Institute. It's so wonderful to see so many happy, smiling students, so eager to learn. You're eager to learn, right? Yes. Yes, I love that. The Institute was actually founded in response to a really troubling research study conducted by a Dr. K.H. Kim. Maybe you've heard of her. She's like the leading authority in creativity in the nation. And according to Dr. Kim's extensive research, the U.S. has been in the midst of a creative crisis for well over 2 decades. And to make matters worse, that crisis has become even more severe over the past couple of years. Dr. Kim's research concludes that we are all using far less of our enormous creative capacity than previous generations. So if indeed there were an idea-generating problem-solving contest across generational lines, well, chances are your sweet little Nana and your Pop-Pop would probably kick your butts. That's a fairly harsh assessment of the current creative climate. Wouldn't you agree? Yes? Yeah. Unfortunately, this crisis impacts each and every one of us in our personal and our professional lives. See, we were all born with an exclusively human ability to be inspired, to imagine, to create. And almost every decision you make throughout the course of the day requires creative thought, like parents who have to figure out a way to get their kids to and from school and to all the after-school activities while juggling it with their own schedule. How many parents have to work with that? Yeah. Or maybe a business owner that's trying to figure out the best marketing plan to propel their business forward. See, I believe any entrepreneur has to be a creative thinker. But with limited creative output, or limited creative capacity rather, comes limited creative output, and a very real possibility that we are all being limited in achieving our full creative potential. And all the students in the classroom said, "No way!" No way! That was on me. I didn't let you know that was coming. So that's my fault. Okay, so let's try that again. And all the students in the classroom said, "No way!" No way! 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 No. The rest of this is solo, okay? Good news is that here at the Imaginativity Institute, we believe that inspiration, imagination, and creativity are the driving forces to innovation and to overcoming the greatest challenges of everyday life in a business. And it is through a blend of those 3 essential elements that our researchers believe that they have found a cure to this terrible, terrible crisis. And all the students in the classroom said, "Yay! Yay!" Yeah, absolutely. Now, what they discovered was that if we truly wish to bring an end to this terrible crisis, at least to the benefit of our children and our grandchildren, then all of us, every one of us as adults, need to reconnect with our own inner child. Albert Einstein once said, "To stimulate creativity, one must develop a childlike inclination for play." So hearken back in time with me for a few moments, back when you were kids. You immersed yourself in imaginative play every single day with an innocent belief that absolutely anything was possible. How many of you remember the hours of play you had with one of these? Nothing more than just a simple box. Now, as adults, we've wasted a tremendous amount of time arguing over whether it's best to think inside the box or outside the box. Some creative experts say, you know what, just get rid of the box. But as kids, oh my gosh, as kids, all we could think about was all the wonderful things we could do with this box and how it might magically transport us to one of the many fantasy worlds in the universe of our imagination. But then, one day, someone came along who told us that because our fantasy worlds were not a part of the actual solar system, we must abandon our silliness and take on the practical responsibilities of something called growing up. And within a very short period of time, the box was no longer an object of wonder. Instead, it just became a place for us to store our stuff. So how did this happen? How did we make this giant leap from being carefree children to becoming anal retentive adults? How did that happen? Not too long ago, a Dr. George Land, the founder of an institute focused on the study of creative performance, wanted to know the answer to that very same question. So he and his team of associates, they devised an assessment test where they could actually measure the creative aptitude of 1,600 5-year-olds. Then they tested those very same students again when they turned 10, and then 15, and then to round off the study, they tested something in the area of 250,000 adults, average age of 31. Now the test itself is really quite simple. Here's the problem: go forth, be creative, come back with an innovative solution. Of the 1,600 5-year-olds, 98% of them scored at the genius level for creativity. 98% of the 1,600 5-year-olds scored at the genius level for creativity. That's huge. That's like the size of this box. But soon, when they tested the 10-year-old students, only 30% of them scored at the genius level for creativity. Suddenly, the box got smaller. 68-point drop in creative thought in just a matter of 5 years. That's crazy. So how do you think the 15-year-olds did? What percentage of the 15-year-olds do you think scored at the genius level for creativity? Just shout out an answer. 10. I heard 10. That's really, really close. How about 12%? And again, the box keeps getting smaller. So here's the big one. How do you think the adults did? What percentage of the adults do you think scored? These are 31 years of age average. What percentage do you think scored at the genius level for creativity? Shout out an answer. 3. I heard 3. Okay. 3 is close. How about 2? 2%. I mean, you can't get a box much smaller than this one. These numbers from 98% to 30% to 12% to 2%, mind-boggling. It's like somebody has been slowly sucking the creativity out of us from the first day we started kindergarten. And guess what? It's not far from wrong. Dr. Land's research concludes that from the first day, and it should tell you, this is really important, for at least the last century, for the first day students start school, they're taught more about being non-creative than they are about being creative. Here's what I mean. Innovation requires 2 forms of thinking. There is creative thought, where we dream, we imagine, we generate ideas. You like that? Then there's critical thinking, where we judge, we question, we criticize ideas. Generate, criticize. Now, both types of thinking are meant to be are vital to innovation, but they're meant to be done independent of each other, never, ever together. But all too often in school, students are asked to combine both types of thinking into one process as opposed to 2, which is usually to the benefit of critical thinking over creative thinking. Great example, class. Your assignment tonight is to write a paper on all the wonderful, exciting, imaginative, creative things you can do with this box. Take as much time as you'd like, be as inventive as you'd like to be, but you're going to be graded subjectively on just how realistic and practical those ideas really are. This creative buzzkill, if you will, makes students far less likely to want to take risks. A trait and a habit that follows them, oh, look at this, into adulthood. A trait and a habit that follows them into adulthood. This creative deficit at graduation is another reason why major corporations focused on innovation are now actually testing the creative and imaginative aptitude of new applicants, because they know that imagining something is the first step to doing it. Imagining something is the first step to doing it. Those 9 words are so powerful. They are the genesis of all things created, from books to movies to music, poetry, to the color you paint your house, to the fact that there is a red Tesla orbiting the sun until the end of time, being piloted by a mannequin in a spacesuit named Starman. I would have given anything to be in on that brainstorming session. How about you? To gain more of a spot in this 2%. Solidify your spot in this 2% of creative geniuses and fill even more and more of your vast creative capacity, helping to bring an end to this terrible crisis. Allow yourself permission to think like a child and play like a child. Step outside of your comfort zone and do something you have never, ever done before. As a matter of fact, hang out with people who will offer you support and encouragement, like the people that are sitting next to you right now. This would be a great time since we're all together. Let's just do something that will offer encouragement and support to each other. So here's what I want you to do in a moment. We're going to do what I call adult recess. Yes. And this is an activity that's going to reconnect you with your inner child. And in the words of Albert Einstein, it's also going to stimulate your creativity through a childlike inclination for play. So I need everybody to empty your hands and stand up for me. Please. You're right. Awesome. Okay. This is an activity. It's called Pass the Sound in Motion. This is really easy stuff, okay? We're going to start on this end down here. All the people on the end of the row down here, you are going to start by turning to the person next to you, and I want you to make the biggest, craziest sound in motion that you possibly can. Maybe it'll be something like this. Ah! Okay? Now, the person next to you is going to watch what you did, and they're going to pass that same sound of motion on to the next person, who's going to pass it on to the next person, the next person, the next person. And we're going to go all the way down to the end of the row. And then when we get to the end of the row, you're going to just send it all the way back again. Yeah, he's excited. Yes, let me do this. This is a lot like when you were kids playing telephone. Only difference is we're not going to laugh now, or not going to whisper. Now, real quick. When you do this, please do not deliberately try to change the sound in motion. Do what is given to you, all right? There is no right, there is no wrong when you start this activity. So whatever you all choose on this end is totally up to you. Are you all ready? Say yes. Yes. All right, on this end, on the count of 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hit it. Go, go, go. Hey. Send it back, send it back. We're still waiting on stuff. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Keep it going. Give yourself a round of applause. Yes. Stay standing. First off, in the creative world, In the creative world, we support each other through a little applause. So turn to your neighbors, support them. Absolutely. And then also, something to keep in mind. What I want you to remember today is that the child inside each and every one of you already knows how to dream and imagine and create, and can still find goodness in this, or inspiration rather, in this cube of corrugated goodness if you'll just let them do it. Thank you so much for your time. Class is dismissed.